So, Blue Beetle just released. For me. Because where I live it came out like 2 days ago, despite it releasing during August for the rest of the world, which is also why this review is so late. But anyway, I'm gonna give it my 7 to 10 minute review and then I'll answer the question in the thumbnail, which is if this movie is better than Man of Steel. Spoiler alert, it's. So, the criteria I'm gonna judge this movie is the protagonist, side characters, the villains, the acting, the emotion, and the action. The action matters less than the other criteria, it's just a fun thing to talk about. Anyway, so let's start with the main character Blue Beetle slash Jaime Reyes, played by Holo Mariduena. Sorry if I mispronounced that. So, Blue Beetle in this movie isn't that great. He's just like every other kid who gets superpowers and doesn't know how to use them, but at the end he knows how to use them. It's super basic and I've seen it 100 times. However, one interesting thing they do with him is that in the start the Scarab wants to kill and Jaime doesn't allow it, saying, "I'm not a killer." However, by the end, when Jaime is trying to kill the Omak, the Scarab stops him from killing him, saying, "We're not a killer." The acting in this scene is great, and I'll touch on that a bit more once we get to the acting section, but yeah, other than that, there isn't much to the character of Jaime Reyes. Now, in terms of the side characters, I've again seen them 100 times. The father who dies, sorry for the spoilers to a 2-month-old movie by the way, the bitch sister, the badass grandma, the crazy uncle, although I got to say I kinda liked him in this movie, and he wasn't just a comic relief, he actually contributed to the plot, which honestly I didn't expect. The love interest, which I guess is kinda interesting that she's related to Ted Cord, but other than that she's generic. And finally the mother, who I gotta say didn't do in this movie, but anyway. So, that's it for all the main characters. Now let's talk about the villains. So, this movie has two villains, one boss fight villain and one annoying ass villain who I've seen 100 times. So I mean, there isn't much to talk about. I mean, I can't really talk about the main villain cause she's just a and I've seen her 100 times as I just said, but I can kinda talk about the boss fight villain because he kinda gets developed. And heavy emphasis on kinda because it all happens at the end with like one hit 20 minutes before the reveal. With that being said, it's kinda interesting that he's like a mirror to Hame in the sense that they both lost a parent to the same main villain, with the only difference being one joined her whilst the other fought against her. Anyway, so with that being said, we have covered the villains, now it's time to cover the acting. Now, the acting in this movie and the emotions pretty much go hand in hand, so I'll kinda talk about them simultaneously. Anyway, so the acting in this movie was way better than I expected. Like, I was expecting Black Adam level acting, but no, the acting was actually good. Like in that one scene in Jame's mind, Holo Mariduena acted really good. Also in the scene where Jame's dad dies, the acting from everyone in that scene was good. And also the acting in the scene that I talked about earlier at the end, as I said, was great. I mean, you could see the anger in Holo Mariduena's face. However, I have one problem with the acting, and that was the Scarab's voice. Like, I don't mind that it was a more female-like voice. What I don't like was the fact that it changed to a kinda comforting voice, to a concerned voice, and generally the fact that you could tell the Scarab had emotions. Why? Like, this is kinda a nitpick, but it's an alien and robotic. The fact that it's an alien should make it that it doesn't have emotions. I mean, just look at the Superman of this universe. But yeah, in all seriousness, it shouldn't have emotions, like the Scarab shouldn't understand what emotions are. Anyways, besides that small nitpick, everything else in this movie is great, except the main villain's acting, cause he acted like a. Anyway, now to the emotions. This will be a smaller segment because I kinda already talked about it, but yeah, the emotions this movie made you feel, especially after the father's death, were great. Like, everyone felt how they should have felt, and no one generally felt scripted. Everyone felt like how a normal human would feel in its situation. Maybe some things with the relationship felt a bit rushed, and the Scarab thing I mentioned earlier, but other than that, everything was great. Now on to the action. Now, the action in this movie was great, and it was creative without being too jarring. Like, he didn't have infinite abilities, he had a lot of abilities and they used those well. My main problems with the action was that against normal humans, Blue Beetle f***ing destroyed everyone, so there were no stakes. And yeah, they did kinda fix it with the dad dying, but still, the dad died to a heart attack, not to a soldier, which didn't really help that much in the stakes department. But other than that, the action wasn't too bad. Now, before we answer the question of which is better, Man of Steel or this, let's see some rapid fire points. Don't worry, there aren't that many. These are just things that I didn't get to talk about during the main points. The CGI was really good. The only complaint I have is that for a second they had a really bad fire green screen effect, but other than that, the CGI was phenomenal, especially when Jaime gets the scarab for the first time. Mother was looking like he got the goddamn symbiote. It was really good looking and kinda creepy. It doesn't matter. Ted Gord's alive, cool, but this film flops harder than a fish. Plus this universe is rebooting. Now, if they keep this plotline in the new universe, fine. But if they don't, there literally was no point to the credit scene, like many other DCU credit scenes. Now, for the big question, is this movie better than Moss? Yeah, of course it is. Now I won't rant about this, because I want to make a video about this, but the Snyderverse is mid as Like, the best part about it is Snyder's League, and Snyder's League is a 7 out of 10 at most. But back to the point, yeah it is. Blue Beetle has a better protagonist, better side characters, better love interest, better acting, and is overall more emotional. The only thing Moss has going for it is the villain and the action. So overall, yeah, Blue Beetle is just better. That's it for this video. For the next one, I probably trash on the Snyderverse, because I don't like it. Anyway, final thing before you leave. Drink water, eat an apple, talk to your family, and subscribe. Anyways, thank you and bye.